It is the first week in January, and I have already had messages and seen people post memes about failing their New Year's resolutions. And it kind of got me thinking, why is there such a narrative of failure around the intentions that we set ourselves? It's the year 2023, bearing in mind humans have been around for a lot longer than that. What is it that makes us so bad at following through on the resolutions that we set ourselves? Is it to do with lack of commitment? Is it to do with the fact that we don't have that instant gratification that we're so used to in this day and age? Is it because we set ourselves really unrealistic goals? I reckon a lot of these do come into play, but underneath it, there's something which not a lot of people have tapped at yet. Whether in January or at any other time of year, how many times have you made a decision to do something or change something in aid of your health without being fully aware of why you're doing it? So you might have heard a friend talk about something, or you might have read about a certain practice or certain supplement and thought, oh, I'll try that, without actually getting underneath the real motive to do it. And the reason I say this is because most of us are really, really good at doing stuff. It fills that need to have a certain amount of control to have things together, because when we're doing, we feel like things are kind of within our control. The thing is that when there's no purpose behind something, when there's no real reason, it's just doing for the sake of doing. And what I've learned is that we are infinitely more likely to commit to something we started when there's a real intention behind it, when it feeds into a bigger picture for us, because we can always come back to that. When I say ask yourself why you're doing this thing for your health, I definitely don't mean just adding because and then a few words onto the end of a sentence. Like, I'm gonna change my diet or do more exercise or seek out this particular doctor because I think it might change my health. And by the way, that's still really valid because that's a lot more aware than most people. But it's asking yourself, why do you want that change? Like, what would that change mean in the picture of your health or the picture of your life? And then from there, how do you get there? How do you make the steps to go in that direction? And then also being able to ask yourself, well, what happens if things don't unfold as I plan them, and you know, does everything just dissolve? Having a why, what it does is it covers all those bases. So it's being aware of where you are now, having a vision of where you want to get to, being flexible enough to change things around if you need to, but also staying committed to that journey or whatever it is that you've decided to do, no matter whether you're going through a high or a low. And this is where we fall down, not only every January, but every time we make a decision and then don't follow it through. Because so often our resolutions are chosen without conscious awareness of why we're choosing it, of why we're doing it. And then what happens is that it's all very well for the first few weeks and we can really feel a difference or we notice a difference. But then when the going gets tough, or we're not seeing the results that we thought we would or the results that we wanted to, we actually lose sight of why it is we started that thing. And then because we are a species that's very, very good at giving up, the exit door just seems like the best route at that point and the easiest option. So we head for it. And without that connection back to why we started, it's far easier to do that. So without knowing why you're doing something, what you're doing actually just becomes unconscious. So you're doing for the sake of doing. I've been working with my health for long enough to have seen and to know that constantly making changes, constantly doing different things for your health without actually knowing why, without having a connection to a purpose behind it, is totally unsustainable. Because without a sense of motivation and drive that comes from that purpose, we have very, very little inclination to commit to it, especially when we don't see immediate results, which is very common with our kind of generation of instant gratification. And with health, it's very, very uncommon to get results immediately. And when it comes to any resolution, not just about your health, but any, the outcome we're after comes from that sense of purpose. It comes from the awareness it takes to make a path in that direction, and then the commitment we have to show when the seas get a little bit rough, because it's not always going to be plain sailing, it won't always be a smooth journey. But having a why and coming back to that why, knowing the decision, that is your kind of point of reference. That's like the lighthouse that you see, you know, when there's a storm around, when things are, you know, really rough. Coming back to that why is what keeps you going in that direction.